I'd like to nominate Mr. Johnson.
I, Brian Johnson, solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Vice President, the duties of the office of Vice President of the Board of Education, faithful to some school district, faithful people schools, according to the best of my ability, according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Mr. Johnson. Moving on to board committees. As everyone is aware, there are allowed to be 3 members of the trustees on any committee. There cannot be 4, though. So I'll open it up to anyone who would like to be on the policy committee. Meets monthly prior to board meetings.
Mr. Miller, I'd like to volunteer for the policy committee.
We have Mr. Brodsky, we have Ms. Byrne. Anyone else? I will also be on policy. How about volunteers for the audit committee? Mr. Johnson, anyone else for audit? Mr. Krug, any other members? There's only 2, so if someone would like to go, you could always go at a later date. The rest, the claims auditor, internal auditor, external auditor, district treasurer liaison, and school district attorney, we have done as needed. If someone would like to meet with them, please feel free to send an email to the board and Dr. Harney, and we will set up meetings to ensure that you get the information you're looking for. Moving on to the external ones, budget advisory, wellness, project save, PTA council, and the NYSBA convention delegate. Budget advisory committee, any volunteers for the BAC?
I'll continue with the BAC.
Mr. Brodsky,
Also help out Jason.
Mr. Brodsky, and Mr. Johnson, any other volunteers for the BAC? Thank you so much. There is an open spot still. How about wellness? Every other month starts in September. Anybody want to volunteer for the wellness? I believe that it meets during the day, though. So we'll keep that as needed. If someone would like to go, we'll make sure you get the dates. Project Save, that is as needed as well, unless somebody would like to be on that monthly. Not hearing any. Moving on to the PTA Council. We have done that on a rotating basis, or we can do it as needed. Anybody like to volunteer for that, or we'd like to keep it as needed?
I would.
Ms. Cerrone would like to be on there. Thank you. Mr. Brodsky? Mr. Brodsky as well. Thank you so much. NYSBA convention delegate. We always have a delegate and an alternate. If you want to be a delegate or an alternate, you must be willing to go to the NYSBA. Ms. Byrne will be our delegate. Ms. Cerrone, would you like to do this as well?
Yes.
Or was your mic just left down?
Okay. Yes, no.
Was that a no? So we got Ms. Byrne. Do we have anybody that would like to be the alternate? Oh,
I would.
good, got it. Thank you so much. Any other comments, questions about committees? Moving on to consent agenda, can I have a motion to accept agenda items H, I, J, K, L, M, N and O. Mr. Broski, second by Mr. Krug. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to the regular agenda. This is really just an update, but can we have a motion to approve the updated Board of Education meeting dates for the 2021-2022 school year? Ms. Burns, second. Mr. Krug, just so everyone is aware, this removes one of the meetings in December. We had 2 meetings, and we removed the one in December. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to the Board of Education Code of Conduct. Can I have a motion to approve the Bayport Blue Point Board of Education Code of Conduct? Mr. Borowski, second. Mr. Krug, just a quick discussion. I will read this quick. As a member of my local Board of Education, I will strive to improve public education, and to that end, I will recognize that as a member of the Board of Education, I will endeavor to attend school board orientation programs and workshops on effective board memberships. I recognize that my having knowledge of the requirements set forth in the current educational laws and regulations will promote more orderly operation of the Board of Education. I recognize that the Board of Education must act as a body in making decisions and in taking official actions. I also recognize that no individual member of the board is empowered to act in matters that require approval of the entire Board of Education. I recognize that my rights as an individual board member to inspect or receive copies of public records are not greater than or different of those of any qualified voter or citizen of the district. I also recognize that this right is subject not only to a rule of reasonableness under current decisional law, but also to the provisions of the Freedom of Information Law, or FOIL. I recognize that as an individual member of the Board of Education, I may not direct the district to do anything beyond those things necessary to the right inspection and copying. To this end, I recognize that I may not direct the school administrators or other personnel to carry out research projects requiring the collating or extracting of information not contained in existing records. I will work with other board members to establish effective board policies and to delegate authority for administration of the schools to the superintendent of schools. I will refrain from interfering with district staff and for the performance of their duties. I will refrain from disclosing confidential information acquired by me in the course of my official duties. I will avoid being placed in a position of conflict of interest and refrain from using my Board of Education position for personal or partisan gain. I will endeavor to make policy decisions only after full discussion at a Board of Education meeting. I will respect the right and free of expression and opinions of each board member and will preserve the obligation of having all issues be considered fairly and without bias. I will endeavor in my statement to the public, both at board meetings and the community, to avoid disseminating inaccurate information. I will endeavor in my statements to the public, both at board meetings and the community, to clarify when those statements represent my views or the Board of Education as an entirety. I will always remember that as an elected official of the community, my greatest concern is the educational welfare of the district students and ensuring them of the opportunity of a high quality education. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Can I have a motion to approve the Board of Education memberships for the New York State School Board Association, Nassau Civic School Board Association, and Islip Town School Board Association? Ms. Burns, second. Mr. Krug, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Can I have a motion to approve the facility use agreement with the rates below? Mr. Broski, second. Mr. Krug, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Please remember this next one will be a roll call. We will go down the line, starting with Mr. Krug and around from there. Can I have a motion to approve the tax anticipation notes or TANs? Mr. Krug? Ms. Byrne? Ms. Cerrone? Mr. Broski? Ms. Pendola? Mr. Johnson? I am also a yes. The TAN is approved, 7-0. Can I have a motion to adjourn the reorganizational meeting? Mr. Broski, second. Mr. Krug, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? We will close that meeting and go directly into the regular meeting. At this time, we will open it up for any community members with any new or old business they want to bring before the superintendent or the Board of Ed. Not hearing any, we will pass it over to Dr. Harney for a superintendent report. Dr. Harney, how are you tonight, sir?
Good, thank you, Mr. Miller. I think first I'm actually going to turn it over to Dr. Fulton, and then I'll finish my report because there's a student here that we'd like to congratulate tonight and welcome. So with that, I'm going to turn that over to Dr. Fulton, and we'll go from there.
So every year, again, we have our district participates each building for a PTA reflections contest. And this year we were lucky enough to have a high school honoree, and they're receiving a certificate of recognition, an award of excellence for songwriting, and New York State Award of Merit. So I'd like to put our hands together and congratulate Aaliyah Deutscher.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it, Dr. Harney.
Thank you, Dr. Fulton. Just a couple of things since the last time we met. First of all, I'd like to thank all of our building administration and principals. We had a very successful end of the year. We had a number of successful moving up ceremonies, and it was actually very nice for a lot of them, especially at the elementaries. We did them outside, out at their own buildings. It was actually very nice, very community oriented. So that was terrific. And then we had the middle school here on the high school field, and which went off very well. And then also the high school graduation, which we were able to have everybody on the field. It really was tremendous. So I'd like to thank Mr. Haas and his staff. I'd also like to thank all of our buildings and grounds people for everything that they've done this week or the last couple of weeks, because trying to get all these moving up ceremonies in different places was a huge undertaking. So I'd like to congratulate them. I'd like to congratulate our seniors who will be leaving us, and I know they're going to make us proud. And again, I'd just like to thank Mr. Haas. So if we can just give everyone a round of applause, that'd be great. We really lucked out towards the end of the year with the weather we had. It was perfect. So I think you'll see from some of the end of the year activities that we did outside. I would say you'll probably see some of those continue to be outside in the future if we can. So again, thanks to everybody. Also within tonight, obviously summer has started, camps have started, our summer programs have started as of today. So people have often asked, none of the rules or guidelines have yet to change in terms of schools, in terms of safety protocols and procedures. So we're still waiting on that. So we're still kind of following the same rules that we had as we ended the year. So as soon as I get receive any more information or new information, as always, I will be sure to share it with the board and the community as a whole. So, but our summer programs have started today. We actually were able to start. One of the things that you'll hear us talk about a little bit is, or you already heard us talk about, was, we have this ARP money or federal money that was coming our way. And one of the things we tried to do was something for our pre-K students for summer enrichment. And that had started, and we have about 37 students involved in that. Correct, Dr. Fulton? 36, 37? So,
That is correct.
So that is a great start. So that's a good thing that we wouldn't be able to do without some of this federal money. So that's just something. Tonight on the agenda, you will see the ARC Carissa plan for adoption. We have already submitted it. We had to submit it as of July 1. So we did that already. It's on here. It's really no different than the presentation that Dr. Fulton had given to us 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that information is all there, but we would like it to be adopted and approved by the Board of Ed. It also allows myself and Dr. Fulton to make changes on a need-by-need basis if we need to, because this will be a very fluid document. So that is in here, so you have that. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Dr. Harney. We have a special guest tonight. We have a new student rep. Dr. Harney speaks very highly of you, along with Mr. Haas. So we are so lucky to be joined by our newest senior, one of our newest seniors, Miss Grace Witt. How are you, Grace? Thanks so much for joining us this year. You're going to absolutely love every other Tuesday night.
I'm good, thank you. I'm very excited to be here with you guys. To start off, going back to last year, Jester Jim visited Academy as well as the Harlem Wizards and an ice cream truck, so the kids were very excited about that. Prom for the seniors in 2021, it was at a beautiful venue at the barn at Old Bethpage Reservation Village. The graduation for all the classes of 2021 went very smoothly and the weather was beautiful. Recently, high school graduate Amelia Fuller was featured on News 12 Long Island for her piloting skills, so that was very exciting. And spring sports were very successful with a Long Island championship, 3 Suffolk County Long Island championships, and 4 division championships. There was also a lot of sports awards this recently. Jameson Smith for All Long Island Boys Lacrosse, Kate McGuire for All Long Island Softball, Madigan Miller for Player of the Year, Alexis Niblock and Alex Fusco for All Long Island Girls Lacrosse, Luke Shartner for Blue Chips Prospects Silver Slugger Award, and there was a ton of CB scholarships as well. Cecily Paul for clarinet, Christopher Cody for piano, Daphne Fitz for dance, Sophia Guanchelli for creative writing, and Michaela Caro for photography. On a separate note, Summer's Driver's Ed started today for any rising seniors and juniors, and AP scores are coming out the 21st.
Thank you so much, Grace. That was great. Any questions from trustees? Grace, welcome aboard. We're lucky to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving on to our district goals for the 2021-22 school year. We'll pass it back over to Dr. Harney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. So a couple of things real quick. I just, again, also like to welcome Ms. Witt, Ms. Saron, and Ms. Pendola. We're looking forward to working with all of you, so welcome aboard. So typically this portion is one of the things we try each year is we have district goals. What you're going to see, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Fulton in a second, the goals go through a number of our stakeholders, and one of them is mainly our instructional council as well. A lot of the goals you'll see will be continuation of the goals that we had this year. Obviously, things changed a lot. A lot of our focus this year was on COVID, safety protocols, and that. So you'll have a lot of the continuation of the goals that were originally set for 2021. That will be now for 21-22. So I'm just really going to ask Dr. Fulton to highlight some of the changes or recommendations that were made so that he could share them with everybody, and then we'll take any questions that you may have. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Fulton. Again, we'll just really kind of focus on the changes.
If anybody's looking for a copy of these, you can find them on the agenda.
And then they will be posted to the website. We have a section, district goals now.
Thank you. So again, the way we organize our goals are through different lenses or umbrellas. So the first one is for learning and really promoting students with regards to providing them the skills of how to think, not what to think. Obviously, we have to continue our emphasis on the next generation learning standards, learning goal 1. Continue to utilize technology, collaborate, identify best practices to enhance learning experience. And if there is a silver lining for the pandemic and COVID, the work with our technology department and with our teachers really did amazing work with identifying the tools to really promote learning. And learning goal 4 to continue, and the word is continue because we have not changed. This has been an existing goal prior, to continue to review and identify curriculum materials that champion diversity and respect for all. If we go to the next slide for connections. really best symbolized from Dr. Harney and district as really a go-to person. But really everything we do is grounded in relationships, whether it's with teachers to students, students to students, students to staff. And really we want to promote an environment in which students feel that they have the ability to communicate and the ability to be listened to and to learn. And so we really want to continue to focus and emphasize connections with students and families within the community, our alumni, and then with the various groups that we have here within the district. We do believe in transparency here as a district, and we will continue to strive, again, with regards to communication and keeping everybody informed as the school year progresses. Our next lens is pathways. And really, we want to try to, an emphasis to see for post-secondary options, vocational training, and experiences and opportunities beyond the high school within the community. Whether that means a possibility could take a number of different paths, internships, vocational training, and to use some of our shared decision-making committees that exist within the district to be able to promote those pathways post-high school. Our next lens is environment, and really the key is safe, supportive, and inclusive learning environment. That is something, again, not a change, a continuation of something that we believe in very strongly here, the Bayport Blue Point School District. And when we talk about environment, it's a combination of both physical plant and also learning environment. So we want to make sure that students are welcome, that students are safe, and that they have the best opportunity to be successful. Some of the things you'll notice is an emphasis on social and emotional learning, self-management skills, self-identification, ensuring a welcoming and affirming environment for all. In addition, we are looking to explore with the funds that are being provided from the federal and state government, the creation of some outdoor learning spaces and opportunities. That was something very well received when students had the opportunity to learn outside this school year. And one of the things that we were not able to really get to, but something that we continue to explore as a district, is the feasibility of lighting to our athletic complex. Our next lens for resources. And really it's something overall as a district, and we've been very lucky the past 4 years that the district has ended in the black and surplus, and it has not had to dip into the reserves. We want to be able to continue that. We also have to recognize and realize that as a district, we are facing continued decline in enrollment, and it's imperative for us to ensure that we are efficiently utilizing our resources to provide services and instruction across the district. And the other thing is that's going to be big is begin the implementation of the energy performance contract, which in the future you'll begin to see changes to our physical plant. And the other goal is to continue to explore the establishment, restructuring of our current reserves, and specifically an example of that would be the potential of a capital reserve fund. Next. Last is professional growth, and this is something that I'm able to tie in the process of developing these goals. We're very lucky here in Bayport Blue Point to have a collaborative, positive, and productive working relationship with our staff members and our teachers. And within the instructional council, one of the things that came across is we want to be able to identify opportunities where our own staff members are able to train and work and collaborate with our staff members. So professional development does not necessarily mean bringing in someone outside, but allowing our internal expertise and be able to share it across the organization. So we want to be able to create those opportunities to foster it, highlight it, and do it within a space that encourages staff members to be able to participate. The other thing that we're going to continue to do is we're going to continue to educate ourselves with regards to professional development to ensure that all of our students are provided an educational environment where they feel welcomed, nurtured, and supported. So as I conclude, again, I want to thank all the staff members and our teachers that participated in the creation and the highlighting of these goals, and we look forward to working to achieve them in the upcoming school year.
Thank you, Dr. Fulton. Thank you, Dr. Horning, and your team. Any questions from trustees in regards to things added, removed, suggestions? Not hearing any questions from anyone in the community on the district goals. Thank you so much, Dr. Horning and Dr. Fulton. moving on for our second presentation. We have an energy performance contract, as you guys know, that the district approved or the community approved is in regards to 10% off. So we will pass it over to Dr. Harney to update us as to the status of where we're at with this.
Yes, so I have members from Johnson & Controls and BBS here with us tonight. So guys, thank you very much. You guys can come up here. Just kind of as a reminder is we had put together a plan for an energy performance contract a few years ago. And we had talked about some of the savings and what we were doing. If you remember, we also had a community vote so that we could obtain the extra 10% on aid for the district. So really what we have asked tonight is for Johnson Controls to kind of give us an update because as we had mentioned in the past, we are a little bit held up and obviously COVID had something to do with that and we had to submit plans. So we just want to give everyone an update where we are and where we're going so that we can kind of plan out this next year. So with that, Kieran, I'll turn it off to you and thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, and congratulations to the new Board of Ed members. Hopefully this presentation sheds some light on this project for you, and for the others that have seen it before, well, good to see you. Okay. Yes, please. All right, so here is the agenda, and we're going to go through the purpose, some of the design challenges that we faced and overcame, and some of the energy efficient measures we're going to touch on, some of the highlights, which is important, a projected cash flow, and then obviously project timeline, and then a piece on curriculum enhancement, some of the things that we have done with other districts and are looking forward to doing here as part of this project, and then questions. And you can stop me at any point, so you don't have to wait till the end if you just raise your hand. Okay, as Dr. Harney alluded to, we wanted to come and talk to you a little bit about some of the design challenges, the engineering challenges that we faced in the process, and some of the changes that had to result because of those engineering challenges. Okay. Really, what we saw were 4 big buckets of design challenges. The first was window replacement revisions that we had to go through. Obviously, boiler replacement revisions. The PV also had some challenges, and we're going to go into each one of these. There are slides. And then obviously COVID-19 affected my team. Today is the first day that Johnson Controls employees are back in the office. So that certainly posed a challenge, so. Okay, some of the measures. So when we met with Dr. Harney and the administration the other day, one of the things that was brought up was that in your elementary school gyms, some of the fixtures have failed. So rather than have the district replace these, we're going to fast forward these 3 gyms and get them lighting replaced this summer. So we're going to work with Brian and his staff to determine when we can do that. But that was really a request of us. So we're happy to be able to do it. And we typically call these mock-ups or sample projects, if you will. So that's what you'll see. So again, that is coming this summer. So we're happy about that. Okay. Window replacement. So in the original project, we had about 1,200 square feet of windows at Blue Point Elementary School, and we were able to grow that to about 3,600 square feet of windows. So really to complete that building. So that's a nice add to the project. Get it all from single pane to double pane. So that was a wonderful add. And you can see some of the drawings that we've captured. You can see the key plans, and if you want to flip to the next slide. You can see the first floor and the second floor, and all the areas identified in red are now going to be done. So that was a good addition to the project as part of the design challenges. Next one is the boilers at Academy Street School. Originally, we were only going to replace boiler number 1, but through the process, it became clear that we should do both of these. So again, another challenge and a change, but both of those boilers are going to be replaced now. Okay. Then photovoltaics. As you can see, we had some 1.6 kW. We have at the high school, and we're going to show you each one of these, about 730. That's a carport system. And then there's also a carport system, well, not really carport, but front entrance, and we have a rendering on that at Sylvan Ave. And then the rest are on the roof. So you can see the middle school, Sylvan has some, and as does Academy, roof-mounted solar. So you can see the breakout between them, and we're going to show you some aerials just to give you an idea. Originally, as you can see on the left, that's the high school, and through a lot of meetings and careful consideration, and I think the board also did some tours. We looked at that wraparound piece kind of by the field. It was a walkway canopy, and I think after a lot of meetings, it was determined that that wouldn't look good, so we removed that from the project. Then on the you guys call this the south lot, which is the lot right out front here. When we went into geotechnical design, there was an enormous amount of underground piping and drainage, and so that then knocked that piece out of the project as well. So the only piece that remains is on the back or your north lot, and we do have a rendering on that, and that's pretty much similar to what we had originally started with. Okay? Then what we did, you can see, as we went to the middle school, our structural engineer through BBS determined that that one area in red, that roof could not take additional load, so we had to, again, change the design and move it to the auditorium, as you can see. Okay? Then at Sylvan, again, there were a couple of areas that structurally came back and were challenging, and so we had to modify the design there. And you can see the front canopy still remains at Sylvan. And we have two nice renderings. I think it's the next slide. No, sorry. So to offset some of these, we had to move over to Academy. And again, we had two areas identified there. Again, failed structural. Just when I say failed structural, they couldn't take additional load. So that don't think there's something structurally wrong with the roofs. It's just they can't take the extra load that the panels put on the roof. So, obviously very important. So we want to make sure that that's done. And then the next slide, I believe, are the renderings. Yeah, so on the left, as you can see, this is Sylvan Ave, the covering. That's going to be, and we'll have all solar panels on top of that. And then the north lot of the high school, you can see the rendering again of what these carport systems are going to look like. When we look at the roofs, what we noticed is that you do have, for future roof replacements, in about 10 years or so, those roofs that we have these panels going on are going to come out of warranty. So when we look at that, we're looking at the adequate excess swing roof space so that when the roof does have to be replaced, there is enough room to move the panels to one side, replace the roof, and then put the panels back. And we're doing that at several schools right now across Long Island. And so as we look to the future, I think many roofs on Long Island, with all the solar that's going on, I think roofers are going to become much more adept at handling these solar arrays that are there for them to move to the side, do their roof work, and then put the panels back. What Johnson would like to do, and Dr. Harney asked us to look at this, was to provide this district with construction management services for when that time comes. So in 10 years from now or so, we will provide construction management services to help with that move and put back on to make sure that it's done correctly. Okay? And I will probably still be at Johnson because I have 12 years to go before I retire, so I'll be the guy. When we have, this is the dashboard, so for the students, when the project is done, they will be able to look at the production of all of these systems online. And then we've identified in your STEM lab, you have two new STEM labs, one at the high school and one at the middle school. And there are two wall spaces that we want to put flat screen televisions, that this will always be live fed to those, so that I think that would be appropriate in that space. And we can always pick somewhere else if you don't want that. But I think it's really nice for the curriculum piece that they could see that every day. Okay? Oh yeah, here they are. So basically those are the spots that we picked the other day with Brian and Joe. And so again, we can move these wherever you want, but we thought those fit well, and those are really nice STEM labs. So I don't know if the students are in them yet, but they're beautiful. They really look good. Nice job. Okay. And so this was at Smithtown Schools, obviously right before COVID. We came back and taught an AP Environmental Sciences class. So we're obviously really looking forward to that opportunity in the future. We brought in our electricians, we brought in the engineers, we brought in our structural steel designers. And so the students got to interview us and ask all sorts of questions. And then they had their their video team, the student video team, videoed it so that the teacher could then play it back in future years. So I thought it was very clever that they did that, and the students ran the whole program. So that was very enjoyable for us and hopefully for them. Yep. Again, we developed coloring books and age-appropriate STEM. So I will send a couple of these over to Dr. Harney and his staff that you guys can look at these. I have thousands of them in my office. So again, it's STEM-related, middle school. I don't want to call them coloring books, but they can build little cities. So again, if that's something that's of interest, just let me know. But I'll send you some samples, and I won't be offended if you don't want them. It's okay. Yeah, there's the activity book. The other thing is that Tebben Steel is located out at the old Grumman Air Force Base, and they have offered to bring STEM students out there to kind of see how they design, how they engineer, and then it goes right into production. So when the time is right, I think that would be a wonderful field trip. It's close, and maybe they could go and actually see their carports being built. So I think that would be a really nice field trip if we can make that happen. So they've offered, and we'd love to try and do that for you guys. This is the activity book. Go ahead, sorry. Another slide of that. And then cost and savings summary. So when we look at this project on a financial basis, it's $10.4 million. And then you can see all the way on the left is your building aid that's going to come back to the district over the 15 years. You then look at your energy savings, which is columns 2 and 3, and then the annual is $500,000 a year about. You also have some O&M savings by having new boilers. Some of the other newer systems require less O&M. And then your rebate program is about $250,000. So Johnson guarantees that to you. If PSE&G modifies it, we are on the hook. So that is in your contract. So when you look at your savings for year 1, it's about $1.2 million with the combination of the building aid, the energy savings, the O&M, and the rebate, $1.2 million. Your lease payments, which is the red column, so the district will pay this back over a 15-year term, and we ran that at a 3.5% interest rate. We're seeing much better rates than that right now, so I expect that when the time comes, that lease payment will be lower, and that's better. And so when you look at the cash flow, the annual cash flow, again in green, moving right, you can see in year 1, this project will bring back $380,000 in year 1 to the district. So again, a very nice project, and certainly excited to get going on it. And I think the next slide, so this is the breakout of year 1. I kind of walked you through that. The net flow back to the district is $380. Total over the whole term is $5.8 million positive back to the district over the 18 years of the project. So. Yes. So BBS indicated last week in the meeting that this Friday they will be sending the submission up to the state education department. So all the design changes that we just talked about, they're all finalized, and the packet will go to the state. And then we're hopeful to get approval in December, and then start working on the financing in March, and then do all of the bonding and the insurance requirements, and then start construction in April next spring. We then have lighting. We'll start right away in April of 2022. Solar, we're going to wait until June because we want to use the parking lot or start the project when the kids aren't around. It's the best time to start that. And then boilers will be started in June once they come down for the spring season because you don't need them as much. And then windows will start. There is a little bit of delay on windows, but we're targeting August of 2022. All right, and then with a final completion of September 2023. Questions?
Any questions from trustees? Any questions from, Mr. Johnson?
So I'm looking at the, originally, we haven't really attacked this. I mean, this was like a year and a half. When's the last time we saw this? Over a year ago? Before COVID. Yeah. So I understand COVID. I mean, I kind of thought we'd be not seeking state approval at this point. I thought we'd be well past that even before COVID. So the timeline is a little far out there. I mean, we kind of agreed on this a year and a half, 2 years ago. We voted on it. So I'd like to see this definitely start ramping up. Looking at the cash flow, total cash flow after year 18, 5.8 million. Just Tim, if there's any way you guys can get, I know we haven't touched this in a year and a half or a year, but I remember that being a different number, costs, everything. So if we could just see the information from the last time we addressed this. I realize there's going to be a reason for the difference. I remember the number being 6 million, somewhere in the high 6 million, maybe low 7 million when we decided to potentially go out with a higher gigawatt system. But I'd just like to see what the difference is and reconcile that. If, obviously if it's interest rates, that'll hamper it, additional costs, stuff like that. But I'd like to see those numbers.
Not on the cost line, so the cost is still the same. The interest rate, we might have shown at 2%, just to give you an idea of what it could be. So we'll look back and, we'll provide you with that information. But Connect schools just went out for funding and they got 1.9%. So the rates are really good, so that's wonderful. I think when you do your final cash flow analysis, it's going to look much better than this. So that's going to be great.
And I think the rates are great, like right now. I'm just concerned about March 2022, whether or not 1.9% will be available.
Sure, absolutely.
I kind of would like to have been done with the state, Department of Education, because that's going to take is there a worst case scenario built in there? About 16 to 20 weeks. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, those are my concerns. I know that interest rate, a 1% difference in interest rate can throw off the cash flow by $500,000 to $1 million easily.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Byrne?
Hello, thank you. I'm just curious, it looks like you had to take some panels off. What percentage of the overall project do you think that was in panels that we lost?
We tried to move them to the one elementary school, so the ones that we lost, we tried to move there. I can get you the exact numbers, though, to show you what the differential was. And by taking some of those out...
We removed some trees at Academy.
Yes, and by doing that, we then were able to put the monies towards the window replacement and doing the additional boiler work. So really kind of moved some from the solar more towards the windows and the boilers.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Borowski?
So I noticed on, I think it was slide 9, that we had started out with a condensing style boiler,
Yep.
and it looks like we switched to cast iron. What's the reasoning behind that?
The administration wanted us to move in that direction, so that was a design request that came in for operations.
Okay.
So we were fine with that.
Dr. Harney, if that did come from us on the administration side, we're leaving some efficiency on the table with that. The cast iron that they're going with now, it tops out about 85% thermal efficiency, whereas it sounds like the condensing type that they were recommending initially was probably 94, 96%, something like that. So
That request came in from facilities to ask us to make that switch.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. I'm sure it's because it's what they're used to working on. Sectional cast iron's been around forever, but we are losing some dollar-related efficiency, probably related to that. So, when the sure.
Something you would like me to Mr. Portsfield look into?
Yeah.
This is definitely done, so I don't know, all right, Brian, you got it?
Okay.
Yeah, it was pre-Brian, sorry. It was, yeah.
Appreciate that. So I know you talked a little bit about CMing the panel removal for the roof work.
Yep.
So if a panel is damaged while the roof is being re-roofed, who's liable for that?
It would be the roofer that's
Yeah.
moving those, yeah.
So are you going to include in a contingency, or I guess maybe this might be something for us, that it's worthwhile including a contingency price for X number of panels and then a unit cost for replacement if it's damaged by
I would recommend it,
Yeah.
and certainly BBS would probably recommend that as well.
Sure.
We're doing another school right now. We're not seeing damage like that, but
Right.
anything can happen, of course, but I would recommend that.
Are you guys seeing a decent amount of lead times impacting your current projects at all?
I mean, I think initially, but no, we're okay.
Not recently?
Yeah, we're okay.
Okay, good. And then I noticed on the schedule piece that the boiler schedule was through the end of, well, through October of 2022. So is there a plan in place to have temporary heat and kind of a changeover? Because that can get into the heating season a little bit.
We will be done. We don't want to have to provide temporary heat, so we will make sure that it's done. We take boilers down all the time in the spring, and we know that they have to be operational by September. So the contractors that work for us, they know those limitations as well, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Karen, just one thing, because I was able to find what you were looking for, Mr. Johnson. So this was from a presentation in September of 18, okay?
Okay.
And it looks like it was the last one when you guys were here. So the PV size at that time was 1864 with a projected cash flow over 18 years of 5.8 thereabouts.
Okay.
And then if there was a maximum authorization plan, which was for the PV size of 2441, then it was at 6.9, almost 7 million.
Okay. So we weren't able to grow the job to the maximum
That's
PV
fine.
side, so thank you for looking that up for me. Sure.
Quick
Yeah.
question. So I remember when we were going through the design process early on, when we had a lot of carport.
Yes.
And then we kind of came back, and I think you said the technology had changed, and we realized that we could get panels that produced at a higher level of energy. Is that still ongoing? Or
It is.
Have we seen any of those?
We have seen improvements on the panel design, obviously, and those continue to come. But really, the challenges on the carport was geotechnical in this lot right here, and then visual, on that covered canopy that went from the north lot to the south lot. I think it was determined that you guys didn't want to do it, and that was fine. It's and your vehicles use that road, your maintenance vehicles use it, so there are other issues than it just being visual that we were concerned that possibly one of the trucks might hit the pole or something to that effect. So, yeah.
My final question is, yeah, yeah.
He's not talking about behind the school. He's talking about the actual panel itself.
Yeah, the panels have improved in their efficiency. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I mean, there could be a
You're going to need less panels.
Correct.
Because they were more efficient.
Yep, that's correct.
Yep.
Absolutely correct. Yes.
So, I mean, obviously, as they become more efficient, if the cost is cheaper to do it, or at the end of the day, why not do less work? So I'm not sure if we're going to see that between now and when we start developing the project. So.
I mean, we'll certainly advise BBS about that in the district, and if we can, obviously, the less load we can put on the roof, always the better. We continue to look all the way up till purchasing the panels, and that's when we're going to make the call. So.
And I do remember. So when we look at that cash flow, it's based on projections of minimum energy savings, meaning those are the guaranteed numbers.
Correct.
We don't make those. I think a lot of the public and a lot of maybe people here right now don't realize there's minimum goals. So if we miss those goals, it's funny. You cut us a check for
That's
this
correct.
type of
Yep.
situation. So is it fair to say that 5.8 million is an absolute minimum that could go higher based on not just interest rates, but based on how much more productive the solar panel
Correct.
is and efficiency is?
That's correct, yeah. And obviously, because we guarantee, we're that 517, we've taken a little off to kind of cover variation. So, the true calcs drive it higher,
Yep.
but obviously we want to protect ourselves a little bit, so we take some of the guarantee dollars off. But those still come to the district, so those still flow in your energy savings right to the school. So.
I guess my last point just kind of is to continue to pontificate about the fact that we, 18 years is a long way out, but one of our goals is to increase our capital reserve. We have additional revenue of nearly $6 million coming our way over the next 18 years. I know I'm not going to be, most of us are not going to be on the board in 18 years from now. But that being said, this additional money really needs to go for those purposes to shore up those capital reserves so that when we have to improve our district 20 years down the road, we're not going to the bond, we're going to the capital reserve. Just a little foot stomp there.
Yeah. You mentioned the admin building that we removed some of the solar panels around there.
Yes.
But if you remember, and I definitely will never forget this, you guys were kind of open to maybe paying for some pavement around that area. Do you think you guys are still open to paving that for us, though?
The pathway?
The pathway. I was all over you, buddy, on that one.
We're not doing the canopy, so.
Can we get a strong maybe? Think about it.
I'll talk with Brian, and I'm sure
Brian, that would be great if you guys could work
Brian
that
will
out.
follow up with me.
Appreciate it. Any other questions from trustees? Community members about the EPC? Thank you so much.
All right,
Larry,
thank you.
thank you so much for coming tonight. Appreciate it. Moving into the consent agenda. Any items a board member would like to remove from the consent agenda and place on the regular agenda? Not hearing any, can I have a motion to approve consent agenda items F, G, H, I, J, K, and that's it. Mr. Johnson, second. Mr. Krug, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Can I have a motion to gratefully accept the donation from Stop and Shop and the PTA? Mr. Broski, second. Mr. Johnson, we really want to thank Stop and Shop for providing $161 for office supplies for the elementary school in Blue Point. And we also want to thank the Blue Point PTA for the teaching supplies for music at the elementary school in Blue Point as well. So again, thank you guys so much. We truly appreciate it. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. And our last regular agenda item for the night. Can I have a motion to gratefully accept the donation for the following equipment from the Bayport Flower House? Mrs. Burns, second by Mr. Broski. Thank you so much to the Bayport Flower House. Truly appreciate it. That's valued at $797. This is going to go to the Peers Educating Peers Club for Community Service Week. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Opening up to the community for any new business. Not hearing any trustee new business? Not hearing any. We will just say congratulations to Ms. Witt. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Ms. Cerrone. And congratulations, Ms. Pendola. Thank you so much. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Ms. Burns, second. Mr. Johnson, all in favor? Thank you guys so much. We will see you in August.